here with Kyle Ebersole today, one of my buddies here. I'm so glad he decided to join us today. Very excited about that. Kyle, you are an executive protege currently, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. How about just tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, no, so being an executive protege has been awesome here with Men of Iron. A little bit about me, live with my wife in Lancaster City. We're expecting our first kid in January. We've been married for about 2.5 years now. Grew up overseas. I was a missionary kid for 9 years of my life, so that gave me a really cool perspective. But now I've been stateside for a couple years.
Okay, all right, cool. And how did you hear about the executive mentorship, by the way?
Yeah, so I did an equilibrium retreat with Garrett Barbush and about 6 or 7 of my buddies. That was a really good time of just digging into ourselves deeper for the weekend away, and then meeting up once a month for the next six months was really, really valuable. Really got that accountability piece, which we'll be talking about a little later. But near the end of it, Garrett pulled me aside and asked if I wanted to go a step deeper into all of this. That's where the executive mentorship came into play. And learned a little bit about it and jumped all in. It's been really, really good.
Between the executive mentorship and the Equilibrium Elite Retreat, give me an example of accountability.
So for me, kind of the light bulb in my head was the previous couple years before doing the Equilibrium Retreat. I was starting to dig into, all right, let's set some goals. Let's try and be proactive instead of reactive in my life. And what it kind of happened was when we were at the Equilibrium Retreat, I set my goals for the 5 Fs, going through the months of just meeting with the guys, meeting with Garrett every month. We got to the end of 6 months, and I realized, you know what, I've accomplished every single one of my goals. So that kind of showed to me, hey, we need to take this to another level. We need to get even more consistent with it. And I think it was that accountability piece of, you know what, I don't want to come back and meet with all the guys once a month. They're all saying, hey, they're doing great, they're doing their goals, and I'm going to be the one in the corner saying, yeah, I didn't do anything this month. So that kind of makes you step up and accomplish the things that you wrote down.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about what difference accountability has made in your life, specifically with our 5 Fs, the faith, family, friends, fitness, and finance.
Yeah, so for me, what it's done, it's helped me build a foundation for my life, and the foundation is the faith piece. So for me, a big thing that me and my mentor have gone through is reading the Bible daily. I've never read the Bible cover to cover. So for me, that was a huge goal for me to accomplish. So he's walked through it with me. He's reading it with me. I get 5 or 10 days behind. I get a text, hey, you better catch up. By the time our next meeting comes around, you need to be on track again. So that's been huge for me, just building that foundation for my life. Also, my prayer life, having somebody continually check in. Hey, did you ask God about that? Did you check with him before you made a decision on X, Y, and Z? So for me, that's been huge. It's made me a lot more consistent, made me a better father, a better husband in my life. And when you have faith as the foundation, everything else just kind of falls after that.
Agreed. I'm blown away by the things you do.
I appreciate that.
What do you do for a living?
Yeah, so I work in real estate. I'm a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway, with the Shriner Group there. But I'm also super passionate about flipping houses.
Okay.
So I love flipping houses. So I do that about as much as I do just the pure realtor sales.
Okay. And if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, say, let me just get this right. Are they looking for a house? What other things?
So if you're looking for a house or looking to sell your house, if you're looking to get into real estate as an investment path, I have a rental of my own, looking to get some more. So would love to have any conversations with you there. You can shoot me an email. My email is the letter K, my last name @homesale.com. Would love to have any conversations there.
All right, spell your last name.
So my last name is the letter E, B as in boy, Ersole. So you can contact me there. Another way is for my flipping, when I flip the houses, I'm always looking for investors. So if you want to invest in something of that, you can also contact me that way.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So why do you think accountability is even important?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think it's something that in society nowadays, especially as men, we lose track of. Accountability to me is very freeing. You can either try and tackle something on your own, or you can get together with somebody. It can be one-on-one, it can be with a group of friends, whatever context and situation is best for you. it's very freeing because you don't have to fight it on your own anymore. You get to check in with somebody, and we can sometimes see that as a sign of weakness. I personally think it's a sign of strength. It's a lot harder to get together with people, to become vulnerable, to talk about what you struggle with, instead of like the true weakness is like, you know what, I'm just going to handle this on my own. I'm not going to let anybody in. I'm going to try and tackle it on my own. So I think that's something that is a misconception, that if we can switch, it would make the community a lot better.
I love that. So some people see accountability as a weakness, and I get that. And I love that you just explained that, because as men sometimes we're like, I don't need any help. I could do this on my own.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
how does that really work?
I can't talk for everybody, but in my experience, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So we all have goals we want to accomplish. We all have somewhere in life we want to get to. Why don't we just meet with somebody else who has similar goals, similar striving, similar motivation? Why don't we just meet up once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, talk it over with them. Hey, I'm struggling with this. I struggled with this. How did you get here?
Yeah.
Like, have a sounding board for somebody, for yourself, to get somewhere. And I think that's just a lot better than trying to do it on your own.
Yeah. So, when I was driving up here today, I was just thinking about whether it be accountability with, hey, I'm going to go to this small group, I'm going to be a mentor or a protege. This isn't only about the executive mentorship. We have at Men of Iron, you want to talk about accountability, we have free resources you can get online. We have small groups, and I'll be talking about those a little bit more next week. But please email me at tonyg@menofiron.org, because we've got 2 small groups starting on the 25th of October, and I've got one Saturday morning on the 21st. One's Anchored Man, that's Saturday on the 21st at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. And then in Ephrata and in Lancaster, we have 2 groups. They're both a man's game plan, and Travis Albanicius is going to be doing a man's game plan in Ephrata. I'm going to be doing a man's game plan here at Supply in Mannheim. So look, guys, we're trying to spread it out and free you of excuses of why you can't do it. And I'm not trying to be a jerk here and be like, hey, you got no excuses. We do know there are things in life that could stop us and prevent us from these things, but sometimes, and I'll even speak for myself, sometimes I just don't feel like it. Sometimes I don't want to give up a night or Saturday morning. But I got to tell you, when I do, there's nothing more productive that I could be doing. Now, I understand time with your family is important, time with God, this is sort of the same thing. But, I know there are things. There are newborn babies and there are third shift jobs, and I get it all. But if you're feeling a nudge, we talked about a nudge with Corby last week. If you're feeling a nudge when you're listening to this, I need to be around other guys. I need some accountability, or I just want to know more about God. Come out to one of these small groups, or talk to Kyle or talk to me. Just have a conversation. Go out to lunch, have a coffee. Just do something intentional that is going to provide just a little bit more information, and then see if accountability is something you want in your life. Because I'm telling you, that's how you get things done. Walking through it with somebody else in whatever way that is, whether it's an executive mentorship or it's a retreat or whether it's a small group. Start somewhere. Anything else you want to share?
Well, and I would touch on that too, is everything that Tony just said is absolutely right. One thing I'll say is so I did the Equilibrium retreat. My wife was able to kind of walk alongside with me and see the goodness and the fruit that happened to me that came from that retreat. When Garrett asked me to be an executive mentorship, Tony mentioned earlier, there is a financial commitment that comes along with that. So me and my wife, we were praying about, okay, do I take this step? Do I commit? And as we were praying about it, my wife came to me one night and said, you know what, Kyle, I've loved seeing the man that you have grown into and the leader you have become because of the Equilibrium retreat.
Oh, that had to feel good.
So why I'm saying that is we kind of see it as just a thing for ourselves sometimes, I think. And we can kind of put that shield over our eyes and say, okay, does this help me? And be kind of me-centric. So for me, ask your family, ask your spouse, ask people close to you if you're going back and forth about what to do. Mm-hmm. Because for me, having my wife come to me in a time where I wanted to do it but wasn't sure if it was right for me, having my wife come to me and say, hey, Kyle, you should do this, was a complete game changer.
That is such a great point, because in the past when I was in different sales jobs, You know, if a guy ever said, hey, I got to go home and talk to my wife, you know that's the kiss of death. Like, you got to close that sale right then and there.
So true.
When I'm no longer in sales and now I'm providing resources and tools for men that are taking a climb up the mountain, whether they're at the free resources or all the way at the top at the summit or the Strong 27 mentorship, I love when a man says, I need to talk to my wife, because we only want it if this is what God wants.
Yes. Yep.
Very often I'm sitting across from a guy in a coffee shop or at lunch, and he'll say to me, well, I need to talk to my wife. And I'm like, great, because if you don't have your wife's blessing in this, we don't want you doing it. Like, that's the whole faith piece, right?
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's such a key. I'm glad your wife was proud of you for doing this.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's a great feeling, and shout out to her as well. What's her name?
Her name's Mick. Michaela, we call her Mick. She's
all right,
awesome.
Mick. Shout out to you, Mick. Thank you, because now I get to know this great guy that's standing in front of me. So thank you for that. All right, so you would just recommend, we don't have to talk about a specific program, but you just recommend get involved somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'd say take a leap of faith and get involved somewhere. Only good things can happen. You can only become a better person, a better father, a better husband. So why not do it?
Yeah, the only positive things could come from this. So pray about it. If you're feeling the nudge, do something about it. You know, like I've been on the other side of so many of these messages where I'm like, yes, 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 this is me, and I do absolutely nothing. Now, obviously, I'm in the point in my life where I've done something, and thank God for his grace and his patience with me. But boy, does it pay off when you obey a nudge that God gives you. I mean, it's life-changing.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So I'm glad that I'm a witness to your life changes, and I'm enjoying watching it, and I'm looking forward to the future to see what it brings. And I just want to really thank you for coming out again. So look forward to seeing you in the future, and thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Tony, and thanks for doing all that you do to get this all set up for us guys. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, stay tuned for next week, and I'll hit you up with another podcast and another guest. I don't know who it's going to be. I have an idea, but it's going to be pretty cool. So talk to you next week.